Hi, everyone. Welcome back to English Chat Daily. I'm your host, Emma. Today, we're diving into a topic that has changed all our lives, the future of work. Is the traditional 9-to-5 office job officially dead? With me today is Liam, a digital nomad who's been working remotely for 5 years. Hi, Liam.
Hi, Emma. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about something I'm so passionate about.
So, Liam, let's jump right in. You've worked from beaches in Bali and cafes in Lisbon. Do you think people actually work better when they aren't in an office?
That's a great question. In my experience, it's all about autonomy. When you have the freedom to design your own environment, your productivity can skyrocket. You don't have the distractions of office politics or loud colleagues. However, it requires a massive amount of self-discipline.
I can imagine. I sometimes find myself distracted by my laundry or the TV when I work from home. What's your secret to staying focused?
Oh, trust me, I've been there. The key is segmentation. I have a dedicated workspace, even if it's just a specific corner of a room. When I'm there, my brain knows it's work time. And I use the Pomodoro technique, 25 minutes of deep work, then a 5-minute break.
That's a classic tip. But what about the social aspect? Don't you feel lonely without water cooler chats?
Definitely. Loneliness is the biggest downside. You miss out on those spontaneous ideas that happen when you're grabbing coffee with a teammate. That's why many companies are moving toward a hybrid model.
Right, the hybrid model, working 3 days in the office and 2 days at home. Do you think that's the perfect balance?
It might be the sweet spot for most people. It combines the flexibility of remote work with the human connection of an office.
Well, it sounds like the world is changing fast. For our listeners out there, what's one piece of advice for someone looking to start a remote career?
I'd say focus on your communication skills. When you aren't face to face, you need to be very clear in your emails and video calls to avoid misunderstandings.
Great advice, Liam. Thank you for sharing your journey with us today.
My pleasure, Emma.
Hello, everyone. Today on Green Vibes, we're talking about how to save the planet without losing your mind. We often hear about climate change, and it can feel overwhelming. But can small changes really make a difference? Today, I'm talking with Mark, who's been on a zero waste journey for a year. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks, Sarah. Glad to be here. And let me start by saying I am definitely not zero waste yet. It's more like less waste.
I love that honesty. People often think they have to be perfect. So, what was the first thing you changed?
It started with plastic water bottles. I realized I was buying 3 or 4 a week. I bought a high-quality, reusable stainless steel bottle, and I haven't bought a plastic one in 12 months. It's a small win, but it adds up.
It really does. Think about the hundreds of bottles you've saved from the ocean. What was the hardest thing to give up?
Fast fashion. I used to buy cheap t-shirts every month, but learning about the environmental impact of the textile industry was a wake-up call. Now, I try to buy secondhand or invest in clothes that last for years. It's more expensive up front, but cheaper in the long run.
That's a huge shift in mindset. Quality over quantity. What about food waste? That's a big issue for many families.
Exactly. My tip? Meal prepping. If you plan your meals, you don't buy random vegetables that end up rotting in the back of the fridge. Also, composting. Even if you live in an apartment, there are small compost bins now.
For someone listening who feels like this is too much work, what would you say to encourage them?
Don't try to change everything in one day. Pick one thing. Maybe it's bringing your own bag to the grocery store or taking shorter showers. Once that becomes a habit, move to the next thing. We don't need one person doing zero waste perfectly. We need millions of people doing it imperfectly.
I love that quote. Progress over perfection. Mark, thank you so much for these practical tips.
Anytime, Sarah. Let's keep the planet green.
Welcome back to The Human Connection. I'm Alex. Today, we're talking about those little icons on our phones that take up so much of our time. Social media. Is it bringing us together, or is it making us feel more alone? Joining me today is Maya, who recently went off the grid for an entire month. Maya, welcome.
Thanks, Alex. It's great to be here. And it's great to finally have my eyes off a screen.
I bet. So tell us, what triggered this digital detox? Why did you decide to quit cold turkey for 30 days?
Honestly, I hit a breaking point. I realized I was spending 4 hours a day scrolling through Instagram and TikTok. I was constantly comparing my life to the perfect photos of others. I felt anxious and, strangely, very lonely.
That comparison trap is so real. What was the first week like? I imagine it was tough.
It was brutal. I kept reaching for my phone every time I was bored, waiting for coffee, sitting on the bus. I felt like I was missing out on something important. You know, FOMO, fear of missing out.
And did that feeling go away?
It did. By the second week, something shifted. I started noticing things again. The color of the trees, the sound of the city. I even started reading books again. My focus improved significantly. I wasn't constantly interrupted by pings and notifications.
That sounds like a dream. But now that the 30 days are over, are you back on social media?
I am, but with very strict boundaries. I deleted the apps from my home screen, and I have a no phones after 9 p.m. rule. I want to use social media as a tool to connect, not as a way to escape reality.
A tool, not an escape. That's a powerful way to put it. For our listeners who feel overwhelmed by their phones, what's your #1 tip?
Turn off all non-essential notifications. You don't need to know the second someone likes your photo. Take back control of your attention.
Wise words, Maya. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, everyone. Today on Tech Talk, we're tackling the giant elephant in the room, artificial intelligence, or AI. It's everywhere, from ChatGPT to AI-generated art. Is it a miracle for productivity or a threat to our jobs? I'm here with Chloe, a professional illustrator. Chloe, how are you feeling about the AI boom?
To be honest, Leo, I'm a bit on edge. I've seen AI tools create beautiful illustrations in seconds that would take me 10 hours to paint. It's a bit scary to think that an algorithm might replace human creativity.
I totally understand that concern. It's a huge shift. But don't you think AI could be a co-pilot rather than a replacement? Like, it could handle the repetitive tasks so you can focus on the big ideas.
In theory, yes, but in reality, many clients just want something fast and cheap. They might not care about the human touch or the soul behind the art if the AI version is good enough.
That's a fair point. But look at history. When the camera was invented, people thought portrait painters would go extinct. Instead, photography became its own art form, and painting evolved into something more abstract and personal.
That's an optimistic way to look at it. I do admit I've used AI to help me brainstorm color palettes or generate references. It does save time, but I worry about the ethics. Where is the AI getting its data? It's learning from thousands of human artists without their permission.
The copyright issue is definitely the Wild West right now. We need better regulations for sure. So, do you think we can coexist?
I think we have to. We can't put the genie back in the bottle. My goal now is to learn how to use these tools to enhance my work while making sure my personal style still stands out.
Exactly. AI has the data, but it doesn't have a perspective or a life story. That's what humans bring to the table.
I hope you're right, Leo. I really do.
Well, only time will